Hey there. So, welcome to Rootworks. This is a group that I started along with Gabriella, and I'm going to do a quick talk about what it's about, what our goals are, and what we're working towards. So, um, uh, just to start it off, basically, kind of our goal and the theme is to kind of create a viable future for all creators. We want to get people together and get people working. And the hope is to make a financially stable future for all creators and provide a path for all of them. So as we go through this presentation, what I'd like you to think about is your dream project. If you could do anything, what would it be? For me, a lot of that is doing art. I would love to be able to do art full time. It doesn't I don't have necessarily some specific vision for a story or anything, but I definitely know what I would like to start with, and that may be enough for anyone watching this video. So I'm Sam, Sam Dutter. I'm a digital artist. I worked in LA for a little while, and I did some virtual reality projects. I worked on an indie game. I come from a background of painting and fine art. And Gabriella is from Staten Island. She is a writer, and she's currently working on a Patreon where it's kind of this voicemail format, which is very interesting. Recommend checking that out. And she is very familiar with putting together organizations similar to Rootworks, where we're getting local creators involved and getting them promoted and growing our skills. So our goal is building a sustainable future for makers of all kinds. And so I want this to be my hope, my vision, and my hope for this is that it won't just be artists, it won't just be programmers, it will be Twitch creators, YouTubers, anything that involves creating. I think creating and then putting online and trying to make a viable income through there, or so we want to make it a sustainable future for creators of all kinds. And it would be great for so many of all these creators to start collaborating, and I think that will be very important to a lot of the projects Rootworks does. So to make our sustainable future, it requires deliberate exploration. You know, it's one thing to have these ideas like, oh, well, I'll make a living online, but we need to be focused on getting results. And I think kind of these 5 points here will be the foundation we'll lay to making this actually work. So first is utilizing our all the platforms that are online. There's new ones all the time. Like you could add TikTok to this recently, but Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, crowdfunding in general are all very successful platforms for creators. And I think that if with your dream project in mind, how do we scale that down into something that's you can have consistent uploads with, or brand and turn into something that fits your schedule, grows your skills, and can eventually turn into something that's supporting you full time. And I think a way to start building each other's followings to get people excited about the work you're doing is kind of regular crowdfunding projects. So we have as Rootwork grows, we'll continue to have a larger and larger pool of talent, and we want to collaborate to make profitable projects. We're not just doing this for the fun of it, though that will be a big part of it, but we want to make something that's sustainable. And as well, it's professional collaboration. We're growing, and even if these crowdfunding projects don't end up panning out, you still have these beautiful showcases or examples of your work that you can then go to get jobs or freelance work, whatever you're aiming for. And I think kind of having a community where you can come in, quickly find this, jump into a project, get something done on time, and there's so many ways that can scale up either into more these larger crowdfunding projects or your own career, but getting involved, getting passionate, and doing the work is going to be a big part of that. And as well, sharing each other's knowledge. It's not just all of these things are about getting to where you want to be. and that doesn't have to be that. A big part of that will be being sustainable financially, but also just growing personally as an artist. I want to continue growing my skills or learning new software, and just finding opportunities for that within this group. And once we have a large, like a concentration of talent, right? I'm in Ventura currently. If we have a concentration of talent in Ventura, then we can start creating opportunities around ourselves. Approaching local businesses and seeing what works for them. And so I think with these 5 things in mind, you can see how scalable the idea of Rootworks is and how applicable it is to almost immediately. I think we just simply need to approach it in a deliberate way to legitimize it, to make it a legitimate alternative to kind of the standard working in an office or approaching studios. We can make this work for ourselves. But most importantly, it's just actively searching for what works. So to kind of delve a little deeper into the points I was just talking about, when I talk about exploring new platforms, I really mean finding new opportunities and niche niche followings. So if you think of if any of you are familiar with Critical Role, right now they're blowing up. They have this huge Kickstarter. It's made the most amount of money on Kickstarter ever, something like that. I think they're at $6 million in 2 days. But basically, they took something that was a hobby and passion for them and turned it into content that they could share with people. And they gained such a big following that now they're going to have an animated show. And but really, the key point there is they had a project that they adapted to the platforms that are out there, specifically Twitch, and they just had regular streams. And you can do the same thing. So if I take my dream project as an example, if I want to be an illustrator, how do I scale the work I'm doing down into something that's repeatable and consistent, and that I can grow over time? Like if I'm just uploading one sketch a week, that might be enough to start building upon and eventually grow into something very big. There's also shops and stores. Etsy is very popular. There's also if you're a digital artist, or even taking stock photography, there's so many places you can take the work you're making or build some small projects that then you can then place for sale online. It's a very viable option. And then, of course, crowdfunding I've already touched on quite a few times. What works for them, going in with the idea of approaching it as an experiment, finding what's feasible for us as a team, because a lot of Kickstarters overpromise. We need to find that balance where we're making our time as valuable as possible, getting the most out of it, and getting a return on our investment. So adapting your project to the internet and new platforms is the key idea there. How do you take what you want to do and put it into where people are? And I want to touch a little bit more, dive a little deeper into crowdfunding projects here. So what I'd like Rootworks to be doing is regularly and consistently collaborating with each other to come up with new ideas, to start new projects. And that collaboration can even just be, rather simple things, like a simple post on Twitter, but building your following with each other and sharing and getting people excited about the things you're working on with other people. And if we find things that work, things that get people excited, turning those into larger projects that we then can kickstart or do a Patreon for. But approaching it in a way where we are legitimizing it as a business. And it's a great way to exercise professional collaboration. Even if these projects don't go anywhere, if I was a student right now, I would be investing very heavily in a Patreon, because if I had left school with a fully fleshed out Patreon where it would have given me so much leverage when I'm approaching companies where I can afford to take my time because I have some side income coming in and I'm developing myself professionally, being able to showcase that for potential employers. And then also being able to use it to argue for better wages. I think there's a lot of as more and more big artists get involved in Patreon, it's going to be the point of leverage we use to make the entertainment industry and so many other creative industries viable. A lot of people are working themselves to the bone for very little, and this is a way to make that change happen. Yeah, but most importantly is finding what works for you on your own terms. I really recommend going to this site called graphtreon.com. It kind of breaks down what Patreons exist, what people are doing, and there is literally something for everyone. I can't stress enough how much variety there is on there. And just so you're aware, is not safe for work content on there, so look through it cautiously. And but I think it's also important to know that those things exist too. But the amount of money some people are making for these projects is going to blow your mind. There is more than enough opportunity in these spaces for everyone. The more people we get involved, the more creators we can have involved. It's a virtuous cycle. So crowdfunding is a way to directly invest in your future, either through a Patreon that you're building up over time, or these projects where we're trying to sell basically and get a return on. So as we continue to do these projects, we'll be concentrating a pool of talent. I already said I live in Ventura, so in Ventura, as we grow, we're going to have a space where businesses know that they can come to and find really talented people that can offer solutions that they would either have to approach a very large business for, or would have to do on their own. So I think as we aggregate people, as we continue to grow, we will create opportunities around ourselves. And as creators, we're probably much more aware of what new developments there are in the industry, and we can leverage that technology to create opportunities for ourselves. I really think that if we invest the time into growing ourselves, we can, regardless of the online projects that we might be shooting for, we can make consistent work for ourselves just right at home. And it establishes us as professionals. There's this is kind of the middle ground between going from school and then into a company, or going from a self-starter into a company. This is a place where we can build a community in that space and create a consistent path for people to go from just a passion or a hobby to a fully funded creator, either involved in a company or through crowdfunding. But Rootworks will be the way to get there. So again, creating opportunities around us. Now, excuse the bad pun, but that's kind of this is getting towards the end of my presentation. Where do we grow from here? I think first is creating a consistent schedule. In Ventura, we're going to be meeting every other Friday. We have an upcoming meeting on the 15th. We have another one on the 29th. And we'll be trying to meet regularly enough where people can afford to miss meetings. Because as working artists, all of our free time is limited. So keeping the meetings consistent enough will keep us consistent. And second is growing. Get people involved. This is why I'm making this video. If any of this interests you, please reach out to me. We want this to work, and the biggest thing is just getting people involved. And then next is actually just starting collaborative projects. I'm already working with a musician friend of mine to make some YouTube videos with animation. And I think I'll try to record that process so you can understand how we're approaching this, where I'm making it scalable for myself. It's something we can kind of do consistently and come back to. And it's helping build up him as a musician and build up me as an artist. And so I think starting those projects as soon as possible, sharing the knowledge of what we understand from that process will be incredibly valuable for everyone involved. And last but not least, number 4 is getting a physical workspace. So in Ventura, as we grow, potentially what we could do is, everyone pitches in $10 a month. And if we have 100 people, the hope would be that we would be able to fund a space similar to like a WeWork, if you know that, but basically a co-working office space where, um, you know, it's hard to work at home, and it's great to have a sense of community, and we can make that for ourselves. There's no reason we can't do this, and I think it'll help legitimize us in the eyes of local people in Ventura, and this is a model you can apply to anywhere. If you're watching this and you live in a different state, get people involved, make a plan. Show them this video. We'd love to start other chapters elsewhere. But maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. At the very least, I think we can a really tangible goal that will help everyone involved is getting a physical space where we can come together and work, host our meetings, store equipment, and there's a lot of exciting possibilities with that. Last but not least is questions and feedback. So if you like what you heard, or you have questions, just post in the comments, give me an email, give me a call. I am available, and I would love to get more feedback because I'm very excited about this project. I have my pie in the sky ideas, and I need your feedback to make it applicable and work for you. So please get a hold of me. Here's my contact info. And I will also post Gabby's info. Looks like I didn't fill it out in this presentation in the comments section. So please get a hold of us. And thank you so much for watching. Again, please reach out to me, and let's get this started.